really gone incredibly quickly. They are much slower in other areas of the country. And then when you look at the rates of increase in hospitalisations there have been, the numbers of people in hospital across the country, what you see is in the areas where this is very, very common, you're seeing rates of increase of maybe 36% in east of England, 34% in London, and 28% in the southeast. These are the areas which actually have significant numbers of this new variant. But if you go to, let's say, the northwest and the northeast and Yorkshire, in these areas there has been no increase in hospitalisations. They're managing to keep things down with tier 3. And if you look at the rates of this new variant in those areas, you see they're much lower. So, for example, in Yorkshire and the Humber, around 5%. Now, again, the exact numbers don't matter, but the point is that if you have a low amount of this variant, the rate of increase is held by the tiers. If you have a very high rate of this variant, then it is not held sufficiently by the tiers and it is going up rapidly. And our big worry is essentially this is growing in two directions. It's growing up in terms of the percentage where it is. So it's getting a higher and higher proportion of the cases. And as Patrick said, the chances someone gets infected of them having to go to hospital or dying at the end of it seem to be roughly the same, as far as we can see so far, as the previous variant. And if they were to go with this new variant, unwittingly, to an area that has a low prevalence and start this being seeded even more outside the high prevalence areas, that would be a significant risk to the area they went to. So that is the reason we are really keen that people
you've got one more chance
from these areas, because otherwise we'll not only see it going
got one more chance.
It's already a problem, we'll see it going out to other areas of the country where it currently is not a problem. And that is because we understood this information in the back end of this week, that we advised you really do have to act at this stage, because this is otherwise every area of the country will get this very quickly, and then none of them will be able to hold things with tier 3 and tier 2 elsewhere.
Thanks very much, Laura. Robert Pesce, ITV.
Oh, sorry, forgive me. Question. Sorry, just to answer the Porton Down question. Porton Down are looking at this all the time. When data become available, we'll make sure we get it out as soon as we can, but we don't have any more information than we've shared today.
Thanks very much, Laura. Let's go to Robert Pesce, ITV.
Your colleague on stage, John Edmonds, has just sent me a statement saying that as far as he's concerned, this is the worst moment of the epidemic because of the extraordinary infectivity of this new strain. Do you agree with Professor Edmonds? We saw the virus rising in Kent during the lockdown and during tier 3. Why didn't you take evasive action then to close down Kent, even before you knew there was a new strain? And what confidence do you have that the new tier 4 measures will suppress the virus, given that the lockdown did not suppress it in Kent?
Okay, if I could just give a layman's answer, Robert, because I think the whole point is that we were very puzzled during the November the 5th to December the 3rd autumn measures by why the tier 3 system wasn't delivering the results in Kent that it was delivering, and a couple of other places that it was delivering, for instance, in the northwest, and clearly there was something going on. It's not really, I think, to be said until yesterday, as we've seen this data on transmissibility, that we've really got the answer that explains it. And
Spencer. Go. Oh yeah. Do you play Really Cheers after? Huh? Yeah. Huh?
My thumbs are hurting.
She's not playing? I mean, you're doing really good, aren't you? Deegan?
Yeah?
Do you want me to check what time the tournament's on? That was asked if you wanted to do. Wait, Spencer? Can you check what time it's on? Deegan? It's in 24 minutes, you want to do it? Huh? Huh? Alright. What is this? Are you on mic that you can use? Huh? I'm asking Spencer if you can use that mic. Come on, guys. Why? Huh? Huh? You don't really want to talk? You don't want to do it? I can't hear you.
I don't want to do the tournament.
Why? Because we won't. We won't. At least try.
To utilise that resource in the UK, and we know what needs to happen to try and slow this down. It's the basic things. I mean, although this is complicated in many ways, in other ways it's really simple. Reduce contacts, do the basics, face, hands, space. Make sure that that is what we do to try and resist the ability of the virus to spread from one person to another, and it will slow it down. And that's what we need to make sure we get on top of, as Chris said. I think this will slow it down, and we need to make sure we keep on top of this. It's not a good moment for sure, but it's one that's controllable, and as Chris said, there is an important light at the end of the tunnel with vaccination having started.
Thanks very much, both, and thanks, Robert. Let's go to Sam Coates to Sky News.
This decision will be upsetting for millions of people, so could you just speak directly to everyone suddenly now spending Christmas Day alone? What hope can you give them? And similarly, what's your message to people considering gambling and breaking the rules? And finally, how long realistically do you think everyone will have to stay in Tier 4? Is there any chance it's in place until enough people have had a vaccine? And to the two scientists, is the new strain impervious to social distancing measures? Might the 2-metre rule and existing face coverings no longer be enough to protect people? Would you travel in a train carriage through Kent tonight?
Well, thanks very much, Sam. Obviously, these measures, as I said, will be reviewed like all the others every 2 weeks, and there'll be a chance for Parliament to consider them. Obviously, as long as all the other tiering questions at the end of January. Obviously, people should not break the rules. Obviously, people should follow the guidance. I hope very much that elderly or lonely people who are able to form bubbles, who have household bubbles, will have that consolation. That's clear from what we've said today. But I suppose what I would say to everybody who's now thinking of having a much reduced Christmas, of course, we bitterly regret that this is necessary this year. I know how much love and care and thought goes into preparations for Christmas. I suppose the message is, that this is the year to lift a glass to those who aren't there, in the knowledge that it's precisely because they aren't there to celebrate Christmas with you this year that we will have a better chance that they'll be there next year to celebrate Christmas with you. I suppose that would be my message, Sam, to the country.
In terms of the social distancing, yes, social distancing does work. It doesn't work as a yes/no. The more things you do, the more determinedly you do them, the more people do some basics for themselves, all the things Patrick talked about, the hand, space things, but also break unnecessary household links. The more this and every other respiratory virus goes down. And just to give some other examples, for example, flu rates are down, adenovirus rates are down, because they also have exactly the same effect on other respiratory viruses. We do not think that the current measures will not work against this, but we're going to have to do a lot more in a sense to stand still. It's like you were cycling up a steep hill and now you've got the wind against you as well. You just have to do that much more to actually keep going, and that's really what we're going to have to do. But the actual tools themselves, unfortunately, remain the same tools. And would I go through Kent? Not unless it was absolutely necessary, not because I don't love Kent, but Kent is fantastic, but because this is not the moment with this virus circulating to have unnecessary travel. So only if there was a very good reason.
Thanks very much, Sam. Let's go to Chris Hope and Dave Hogarth. Chris, you need to unmute, I think. We can see you.
Can you hear me, Prime Minister?
Yes, got you.
Hear me for that. How old is the police, Prime Minister? Do you think police should be stopping people from travelling outside of Tier 4? And do you advise the police to knock on the door of households that break these rules on Christmas Day? And are these an admission that the tiers have failed? Are we back to essentially lockdown until March? And just for the scientists and medics, I wonder why Britain has got this one so bad, this variant so bad. Which other countries have it? And how did the new variant get here, please?
Well, Chris, first of all, I think the police have done an amazing job of enforcement, light touch enforcement. They've handed out lots of FPNs for penalty notices for breaches of the rules, but they've also helped to keep people overwhelmingly in line with what they need to do. And that's, you know, I really thank the police men and women up and down the country for what they're doing. I'm sure they'll continue to do it in the same way throughout this period, but I'm sure that above all, I think people will naturally want to do it themselves as they've done throughout this crisis. The bulk of the population take this incredibly seriously, get it right.
Boris Johnson.
In terms of the
Boris Johnson.
why here and where else is it? The virus is mutating all the time, so lots and lots of mutations of the virus around the world. This one is a particular constellation of changes which we think is important.
Put click box lights on, we'll warm them up quickly.
They'll arise for every time the virus replicates, it can make a mistake, and so that some of these things just arise by chance. The question is what sort of this one seems to have given advantage of transmissibility. We think it may be in other countries as well. We think it probably is basically, we think there's a large outbreak in the UK. It may have started here, we don't know for sure. There will be other types of mutations around the world. It's very important, this sequencing, to find out what the sequence is doing, how much has changed, is looked at a global level. We start to get a handle on where these changes are occurring in the virus across the world. It's going to be an important part of surveillance going forward.
Brilliant, thank you. Nigel Nelson, Tony Mirror.
One for the Prime Minister. Given you were at least aware that there was a new variant of the virus out there as far back as November, do you now feel it was reckless to promise 5 days of Christmas against scientific advice? And if I may ask Chris Whitty a question, earlier in the week you were talking about keeping meetings short without specifying what for. Can you say now whether people you've seen running for a cup of tea for an hour?
First of all, thank you very much, but we've always taken account of scientific advice, always trying to follow it, and that is what we're doing today, because the science is clearly changing. It has changed in the sense of our understanding of this new virus, its transmission has been radically shifted. Just in the last 24 hours. And we simply can't ignore that.
Don't do the dream hack.
That's why we're taking extra steps today to protect the country.
And you spot
the question you put to me, what I said, and what I have to repeat, is to the extent you possibly can, keep it small, keep it short, keep it local, and that is still absolutely the message. So if you've got your grandmother, you really want to minimise contact, you want to keep it at a distance. And you do want to have the shortest period you can. But what you really want is...
Is it controller?
Arithmetic.
I had no mats left.
Yes, same. Is there a way you can like
What about you? I turned it down. Who's you? I don't know who this is. I didn't do that.
Hello?
Jam on Discord.
Oh yeah. We did. Could we do this thing? I'll give you. So I'm doing come out with this person. I might see if I do it with you.
What do you mean? You said you were gonna know me, bro.
Yeah, but the thing is, I promised this person earlier, but then I found you. Coming next to you.
Jamie looking for a chair.
Pardon?
Said the other if you're looking for a chair on one left. Are you know me or him? Hello?
Yeah.
I didn't mean on him.
It depends if he comes on right now.
No! I tried killing you with Hopkins. GG. Who's this? Oh, you fucking shit game. Who's this guy?
Okay, kill him.
How you got so far?
Yeah, of course.
It's found PS4 or Xbox, I think that's C. Which one? Wait, are you on PS4 or Xbox?
On PS4, what do you want?
PS4. You got a new PS5?
No, I'm gonna PC.
Yeah, that's what everyone is. That's what all my mates are doing.
Nobody will play. This is cool. Yeah. Nobody on. Reaper. Oh,
How much subscribers you got on YouTube?
I did. You do it.
When you go live? I'm live right now. What other games do you play? I play Cold War more than as well. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you want to land for the dream match?
Just for me, it's just you did that Viking click. Bye, Holly.
You know where?
You did that Viking click, Holly.
No. I don't know what you're on about.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, show me against that game. Wait, does it start 5?
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know if you're in England or not, so I don't know what times you go. You're in England?
Why have a chocolate?
Do you live in England? Not like trying to be like wood and all that.
What?
Do you live in England?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, brush into the can. Fucking hell, what the fuck are you got?
Yeah.
Checking your what?
No.
How you got both shotguns?
I don't know. Watch her quick.
Whereabouts are you?
Why do I have two shotguns? Again.
We build.
Come on. Hallelujah. Oh, what? You should know. Come on, I need to read it.
Pardon?
I need you to read this. Here you go.
Wait, why'd you leave?
Recording.
Huh?
We did. I told Tony.
What the fuck are you doing?
I can't with your teddies. Annie, put all those things on. Look, Annie, they put them on. Do that, Annie.
Catch friend of my life, man. Come on, bro. Why are you gonna be so mean for, bro? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on. Zie maar wat terug.
Look, honey. Annie, look. Teacher said wow to this, Kian. Wow. This clown thing. Go! Come on, Annie! Hey, Teddy! I go!
Baby, do it on this.
Into the kitchen. Wait, Annie, put your teddies on. Put your teddies on. Annie, put your teddies on. Look, Annie. Car. Car, bam, 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 bam. Annie, put your teddies on. Yeah. Annie, wait. Put that there. Annie, put your teddies on there. Put it like that. You can push it, Annie.
They're gonna jam me on what you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
The penny's falling off. Annie! Bro, 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 bro! Wait for me! Come on! I need to have a race! Come here! Go there! Come on! Race! Race! Island! I think it's got 2 pillows.
What are you doing?
What do you want?
Also, Annie was on this one. Digga, you sure you don't do the tournament? Why?
A waste of time.
Why is it?
Not gonna win anything.
Due to the news.
Annie, we're gonna do a race. Annie, come on, we have to go like this. We need 2 pillows, Annie. 2 pillows. The pets are going around. Let's do something now. 2 pillows. Come on, Annie, you need 2. This one.
They got Nick.
Let's get yeah, push it. You're gonna push it. And here's yours. It's gonna be mine. Sit mine up, honey. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
If you come to the news. Shut up. Who's up, my man?
You have to do a race. 3, 2, 1, go. Push on. Look, it's easy. Push. John. Look, with my kids.
Boing.
Finally. Wait.
Shoot. This baby comes.
Right, Pixie.
What?
Stop being a dickhead.
Did you hear that?
Annie, you can't say that.
Dickhead.
Right, I'm telling Mum. Telling Mum when she gets back. Telling Kylie.
Yeah, Helen. Bitch.
Oh.
Bitch.
Really stupidly.
Once again.
What did you say? You're going to get told off. I'm telling Mum you're telling her, I swear.
No, she's...
No, you're telling her. Telling Mum.
She's thinking it.
You too. Stop running up and down the stairs. Last chance and then you get down.
Come to the news.
Do what is right to protect the people of this country. Given the early evidence we have on this new variant of virus, the potential risk it poses, it is with a very heavy, I must tell you, we cannot continue with Christmas as planned. In England, those living in Tier 4 areas should not mix with anyone outside their own household at Christmas. Though support bubbles will remain in place for those at particular risk of loneliness or isolation. Across the rest of the country, the Christmas rules allowing up to 3 households to meet will now be limited to Christmas Day only, rather than the 5 days as previously set up. As before, there will be no relaxation on the 31st of January, so people must not break the rules of New Year.
He's dog water.
They must not break the rules of New Year. It's very, very important to emphasise that. I know how much emotion people invest in this time of year, and how important it is, for instance, for grandparents to see their grandchildren, for families to be together. So I know how disappointing this will be. But we have said throughout this pandemic that we must and we will be guided by the science. When the science changes, we must change our response. When the virus changes its method of attack, we must change our method of defense. And as your Prime Minister, without action, the evidence suggests that infections with sore, hospitals will become overwhelmed, and many thousands more will lose their lives. And I want to stress that we are not alone in this fight or in taking these types of decisions. Many of our European friends and neighbours are being forced to take more action. We're working closely with the Devolved Administration to protect people in every part of the UK. And of course, there is now real hope that we will soon be rid of this virus. And that prospect is growing with every day that passes and every vaccine dose that is administered. As you know, the UK was the first country in the rest of the world to start with clinically approved vaccines. And so, please, if the NHS contacts you, then get your vaccine and join the 350,000 people across the UK who have already had their first. Yes, Christmas this year will be different, very different. But we must be realistic. We're sacrificing the chance to see our loved ones this Christmas, so we have a better chance of protecting them, so that we can see them at future Christmas. And sure, it might holiday will be happy, the virus will be reclaim our life.
Complete dog water.
Good evening. In the past hour, Boris Johnson has announced a new tougher level of coronavirus restriction in England after scientists said a mutation of COVID-19 was spreading rapidly in London, the southeast and east of the country. The variant is said to be much more contagious but doesn't cause more serious illness. Well, from midnight tonight, Tier 4 restrictions will apply in all current Tier 3 areas. in the southeast, including London, Kent, Buckinghamshire, Berkshire and Hertfordshire. That's more than 17 million people. In this new tier, the stay-at-home order will be issued to residents, except for those travelling to work or for education. There will be no Christmas cards. Social medicine will be restricted to meeting one other person in an open public space. Non-essential shops will close, along with personal services such as gyms, beauty salons and hairdressers. No one should enter or leave a Tier 4 area. And there are also changes to the advice for those living in Tiers 1 to 3 in England. The so-called Christmas bubbles will be restricted to just Christmas Day. The advice is to remain local and not to travel internationally. With the very latest, here's our political editor, Laura Clinton.
Another twist in 2020's terrible karma. The virus is outpacing politicians and the public's attempt to get hold of it, just at the time of year when journeys are meant to bring us together. From midnight, travel from London to Paddington or anywhere in the South East will be banned, the government cancelling families' Christmas plans. Aaron and Hagabat have already decided not to see family.
It was never a good idea to just say we shouldn't have any restrictions over like a short period. It's not like COVID is going to take a break or anything like that, so it just made no sense whatsoever, and it's just messing with people's minds.
Selwyn Reid from South London resolved his big family won't get together.
I think I'm choosing to be wise and say, look, let's celebrate later on next year. I think the consequences of actually mixing it is just too great.
Alberico, a teacher, don't see family from Italy now either.
Yeah, it's a very annoying situation, but I can't see it getting better because the zone are probably by now zone 4, which is even stricter. I can't understand what's stricter than this.
The Prime Minister pushed to take action he decided against earlier this week.
It is with a very heavy heart, I must tell you, we cannot continue with Christmas as planned. In England, those living in Tier 4 areas should not mix with anyone outside their own household at Christmas. Those support bubbles will remain in place for those at particular risk of loneliness or isolation.
We have a particularly fast-moving problem with increased numbers in the area going to Tier 4, a generalised increase across the country.
There were calls for you to drop the plans for Christmas last week, just a few days ago. But on Wednesday, you told me and our viewers that it would be inhuman to change the plans. And now that's exactly what you've done. Aren't the millions of people whose plans have just been turned off entitled to feel that you just left this too late?
Of course, bitterly, I regret the changes that are necessary, but alas, when the facts change, you have to change your approach. And with the briefing that I had yesterday about this mutation of the virus, particularly about the speed of transmission, was not possible to ignore.
Professor Whitty, if someone is packing a bag right now, listening to or watching this, trying to leave the South East by midnight tonight, what should they do?
My short answer would be, please unpack it at this stage.
The problem is most acute in the South East, but there's concern everywhere. Nicola Sturgeon warning there could be preventive action. In Wales, a limited lockdown's already on the way straight after Christmas, and Arlene Foster in Northern Ireland, also under tighter restrictions, said the situation is very concerning. UK opposition leaders had already called for a rethink.
I'm really frustrated because I raised this to the Prime Minister on Wednesday, and he dismissed that. It went on to tell me to have a very little Christmas. Only 3 days later, to whip up their plans. I think the British public is entitled to more decisive leadership than that. They're getting confusion where they need certainty.
Another upset, another change of heart in number 10. After a year, many of us would rather forget a Christmas that may be remembered for all the wrong reasons too.
Yeah, Laura, it was what the Prime Minister was desperate to avoid, effectively cancelling Christmas, but leaving the decision so late has put millions of people in a bind.
Well, Pat, it's a very tricky situation, and it will no doubt be very disappointing for many of our viewers who are just hearing this news. There will be real knock-on effects for millions of people around the country. It's not as draconian as the first lockdown back in March, but make no mistake, it's a really significant hardening up of the rules for a third of the population, and there will be changes to how everybody is allowed and permitted to celebrate Christmas in England. And there could be knock-on effects as well for other parts of the UK where there are already tighter restrictions in place in Northern Ireland, for example. Now, first and foremost, this is of course a reflection of a very significant concern of the government about how the virus is taking off again. This new variant really making a difference.
Yeah, I mean like Epic Games.
In the last week or so, they say. But from a political point of view, I think it's also tricky for the Prime Minister.
They're gonna speak on mic. They're gonna speak on mic.
All the way through
no, I have to speak on Discord because my controller's off, so I'm just gonna have to speak on Discord. Honestly, even if I plug it, well, my controller's on, but I'm using my controller, but if I plug it into my controller, it will just turn off.
Okay, Laura, thank you for that. Low food.
Says you're not found. Let me try again.
On coronavirus show, there were 27,052 cases in the latest.
Are you on Xbox?
No.
It should find me, because that's how it's spelled exactly the way it's spelled.
Yeah, it's not working. It's not working. Just put my name.
What's your epic? Type in your epic. Because I just restarted my phone now because I just hit champs. I want a game with 20 kills.
436 bringing the total number on
what the? Yo, about that's kind of long.
Yeah.
Just tell us about this variant, this mutation of the virus.
13.
And why it's so radically affected government thinking.
If you're wondering what my profile picture is, it's my baby picture. Okay, I was looking at my finest president, looking sexy as hell.
And my picture, that's me right now, just chilling.
Variants that are
really?
That's a really significant amount.
Man said a bid at 13, what?
Which is currently between 1.1 and 1.2 by as much as 0.4. So that simply means the epidemic.
Wait, can I screenshot this real quick? I want to show you something. I found it.
Crucial that we remember.
You need to add me quick because the tournament already started.
Viruses mutate all the time. Every now and again, by chance,
look at this.
Gives them an evolutionary edge and makes them more transmissible. Often, that actually makes them less lethal. This one was first identified in Kent in late September, but now already accounts for around 6 in 10 cases in London, England, spread at lower levels to the rest of the world and is found in some other countries.
I've seen it.
Coronavirus
Wait, says the N word.
Much more stable than some other viruses like flu. We need a new flu vaccine every year. There's no evidence at the moment that COVID vaccines will be any less effective. 350,000 people have had their first dose of vaccine, and in a sense the government's hold on for other people to be protected.
Are you good? Are you good?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, added me. Wait.
No, not yet. Underscore, by the way. BTW, motherfuckers. It says you're not found. Well, why the fuck?
There were plenty of shoppers out and about on London's Oxford Street this afternoon, but all non-essential stores...
Why is it not finding people? Oh, this is 8.
Wait, are you on console?
Yeah, I'm on console, and it's not letting you find my name.
What console?
Xbox.
Ah, you're a gamer. Can't lie.
But it did let us find each other. Are you sure your epic is spelled like that? Or is it your PS4? Wait, what's your PS4 name? What?
That's the exact same.
Type in my X. I've got my Xbox. That's my Xbox name. See if it works.
The retailers' organisation said even tighter restrictions would have severe consequences. Previous lockdowns have meant that store sales...
Wait, do you know before your Y in your name, is that 2 I's or 2 L's?
What? They're both 2 L's. They're 2 L's.
Future support is targeted to those...
No, I can't find your thing either, your Xbox.
The CBI demonstrator said this afternoon it's right the government takes necessary steps to protect public health, but said today's news is a real kick in the teeth for many businesses and others for 1,000.
Executive. I'll be back with the late news at 10:15.
It won't even let me go into fucking... It won't even let me go to the DreamHack now when I just hit the for fuck's sake.
Well, we've seen a lot of that heavy rain over recent days.
I swear you have to be on the Defenders just to do DreamHack.
Huh?
I swear you have to be Defenders just to do DreamHack.
I do not know.
A number of flood warnings currently in force across the UK, particularly England, Wales, Scotland, with around 30 flood warnings.
Wait 2 seconds, bro. Yeah, fuck off, mate. That's on to 8, mate.
Particularly widespread across western areas, and overnight tonight, it is across the west, and particularly the northwest, where we'll continue to see the most frequent showers. So quite a wet night for West Scotland and Northern Ireland. Eastern area seeing the fewest showers, but no residue can see an odd downpour, and it will stay quite windy, particularly close to our coasts and over some of the hills in the west, with gusts of about 30 to 40 miles an hour. Temperatures not desperately cold, looking at lows of 4 to 6 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, another day of sunshine and showers, and again, the showers will be most frequent across the northwest, and showers tending to merge together to give some longer spells of rain across Northern Ireland and West Scotland as we head into the afternoon. It turns windier here as well. Showers probably ease up for a time across Wales and southwest England, but it's going to be a cooler day wherever you are. Temperature 8 to 11 degrees Celsius. Into next week, another area of low pressure is going to be sliding its way eastwards across England and Wales, bringing another bout of fairly heavy rain. And given that the ground is saturated, we could well see some further localised flooding issues. Further north, we've also got some other weather front that will be pushing its way in across Scotland, and bringing rain which is welcome. Now across England and Wales, between 13 and 14 degrees Celsius in the warmest spots. Further north, it's turning colder on Monday. Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, temperatures closer to about 6 degrees Celsius. The cold air stays to the north of the UK on Tuesday.
I got one! It's well nice!
More rain. But eventually, you're not going to see the colder weather across Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, thinking southwards as we head closer to Christmas. So, by the big day, we'll all be in colder air, temperatures hovering about 6 to 8 degrees Celsius through the afternoons. Could be much higher than the sunshine.